football. I know Tom Murphy enjoys the NFL. He joins us now, courtesy of the Arkansas Beef Council on the Lewis Automotive Group hotline. Tom, I know you're a Falcons fan, but this is an appealing Sunday Night Football matchup that we have to look forward to start out in September between the Cowboys and the Eagles.
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, that'll draw a bunch of eyes because Dallas is still America's team. I'm like Tommy, though. I'm very neutral about the Cowboys, but here's a little factoid for you. The Falcons beat the Eagles last year, and if only a blatant pass interference call in the end zone had been called on the Chiefs, I feel pretty good that we would have beat the Chiefs. So we would have beaten both Super Bowl participants, and it's the same team that lost to the Saints and the Panthers to end the season when if you can just win them both, you're in the playoffs. So that's who we are right now. We're a mess.
Tom, let's talk raffle. Announced about 2 hours ago, Razorbackraffle.com, fully up and running. First giveaway, or however you want to frame it, is going to be in the 8th inning of this Tennessee series in Game 3 on Saturday. I know they've been kind of building up for this moment. Your initial thoughts on kind of what's coming out, or what has come out today, and what's going to take place this weekend in the Vol Series?
Right. Well, it was really only a matter of time before this was installed, and I mean, I guess you could say it's happened in fits and starts because they tried to. It seemed like it was last summer or at some point where they tried to get it going, and I guess who was going to administer it, and it seems like it's some Canadian outfit that's doing this. But I'm a little surprised they didn't tout it yesterday, or I'm sure they'll be talking about it today on the One Razorback Road show. But I was up there in Bentonville for the first one yesterday, and I checked just before I came on, and I want to say it was up to about 3,100 for the winner, but it's a minimum guaranteed 5,000. So yeah. I'm sure a lot of people are going to get on this in the next few days. Heck, I was thinking about buying it. I mean, what are the odds? But anyway.
Yeah, the current. In fact, it just moved. I'm watching. I got it pulled up here. Current jackpot 64.50. So the winner's half is 32.25. I don't know what this will be, Tom. I was saying earlier. I'm assuming, and I think I'm right in assuming this won't be allowed in the stadium for postseason events like the softball this weekend or a regional or super regional in the future. But this is a great trial run before football, where the scale of people in the venue will be much larger, and you want to get some of your core audience, and you're going to have a lot of your core for multi-sports at a series like Tennessee. So good to have somewhat of a trial run, because I assume that they won't be able to do it past this weekend until football season returns.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I don't know.
At least in venue, I should say. They could do it online
exactly.
every week.
The NCAA is pretty stern about what you can and cannot do when they kind of take control of the venue. So you're probably right, but I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I don't either.
But, yeah, there's going to be a lot of people in town, big series. There might be some weather on Thursday, but I think it clears up. Don't hold me to that, but it should be pretty good weather for most of the weekend. And there's a lot on the line. Arkansas trying to get a top four and technically still in line to win the SEC. And this factoid came out after they beat LSU Sunday. They're the first SEC program that's won 18 games or more, 8 consecutive years, since LSU did it 10 years in a row. And this was back, I think, late 90s, early 2000s. So just kind of indicative of the level that Dave Van Horn has this program at.
Well, I mean, watching we had Todd Walker on the show last week, and then listening to Ben McDonald go through a ton of just superlatives about the Razorbacks and what you're saying there. It's amazing when they've done everything except win the national title. They've won more baseball games in the last 5 or 7 years than any other program in this conference. Hopefully this is the breakthrough year, but I mean, from a national media perspective, and I think from any coach in this league, and just listening to Jay Johnson, or whether it's Wes Johnson at Tennessee or Tony Vitello, I mean, Dave Van Horn is the dean of coaches in this league, and he's, there's ones that don't have near the resume that do have the national title, but Dean, Arkansas, I think, is considered the best program in this league, even though it doesn't have the title by many. Arkansas and LSU are kind of on that same shelf in a lot of people's opinions.
Absolutely, that's true. I mean, it's the recruiting, it's the development of the players once they're on campus, it's the facilities, the lab they have for the pitchers, and you can track everything. And development is really big, and guys have come here and gotten better, improved their draft stock, and made a lot of money. I mean, Hagen Smith came back for another year, and look what it did for him. So, yep, you're right. The only thing that's missing, and I was in Omaha when that pop foul was in the air thinking, oh, my gosh, they just won the national championship. And then, basically half a second later, oh, this is going to be a harder play than what I thought. And anyway, that's what happened. They were that close to taking a national championship, and they've kept on pushing since then. They've been since the year they did not go to the NCAAs in 2016. I think their record might be as good as anybody in the country since 2017.
Tom Murphy with us, Arkansas Democrat-Gazette, Whole Hog Sports, courtesy of the Arkansas Beef Council here in the Lewis Automotive Group hotline. Tom, you mentioned being in Bentonville yesterday for the Razorback Roadshow. What were kind of some of the specifics that Hunter and the rest of the staff were talking about there yesterday?
Well, it was largely about NIL and just basically everybody's waiting on this house settlement because they're going to have $20.5 million to distribute among their sports. And, how's it going to be distributed? Remy Cofield, the new general manager, is going to be hiring a staff. And so at the same time, they're trying to, reduce operating expenses and freeze raises and merit raises and all that.
Mm-hmm.
They got to hire more of a staff to administer what they're going to do with their revenue sharing money. So it's a tough time. I mean, Hunter, he's so open about. I mean, he just says to us, I might be the most disliked guy in the athletic department because I've instituted these cuts. But your department has to survive and it has to compete. And you have to ask more from your fans and the current staff. I mean, these are state employees that, they're used to getting their yearly raises, and this one's frozen this year. So they talked about things like that and just that if this passes and the control of the revenues goes back to Arkansas, they're going to pursue the contracts that players sign, much like, it's been publicized about Madden Iamaliava. This is Blueprint Sports that's after that. But Hunter said I would administer or I would go for the same thing. So, and he said he heard from a lot of ADs when he put out that statement about pursuing the contracts. Thank you for doing this. And he thinks, there's going to be more openness about that in the days ahead.
Tom, they're on the road for the next several days in various pockets of our state. You mentioned being in Bentonville yesterday. They were also in Batesville last night, Searcy in Memphis, Stuttgart, Little Rock, some of the other destinations for the rest of the week, Conway, Hot Springs too. What should be the goal? What should be on their itinerary in terms of their talking points? Like, what is the best thing that they need to get across to this fan base here in the next few days, in your opinion?
Oh, man, to me, the biggest thing is look, there's rapid changes in college athletics. You know that. You see it. We've got to stick together, basically. I've espoused on this show many times that the older Razorback fans, it's hard for them to relate to kids who transfer in. What can Arkansas do to change that? Well, they really can't. They can't force players to stay. And if players leave, they have to bring them back in, and largely through the portal if you want to be competitive. So I think maybe just trying to allay the fears of fans and say this is the current state of college athletics. We have to be competitive in the SEC, so this is what we have to do. Please understand, because it's affecting Arkansans in their wallets, in their pocketbooks, and doesn't make a lot of people happy. He did point out yesterday that, there was this initial uproar over the reseeding in Walton Arena, but he put a positive spin on it, said they've already raised, I want to say it was $8 million through that, and there's another $4 million in positioning gifts that they're going to start out with, a $12 million, a bonus basically, just from that aspect of reseeding Walton Arena. So and they've added 1,000 new Razorback Foundation members. So they're doing what they can. We said over and over on this show that Arkansas has, got to do a little bit more to compete because they don't have quite the resources. The tradition is the Alabamas, LSU, Georgias, and Texas, and Oklahoma, and so on. So I think things like the One Razorback Roadshow are meant to show they want to connect to the state, and they're serious about it.
I would go a different – I don't disagree with anything you just said, but one thing they've got to have a result from this road show, or need to have. I don't guess they have to do anything, but they've got to build some excitement for football.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm just over here in a corner. Maybe I'm in the wrong corner. But I don't sense nor feel, talking with our listeners, getting the pulse of the fan base. Tom, I don't sense a great deal of excitement for the coming football season yet. It's May the 13th. There's got to be some mechanism put into place to get that frenzy started. I don't sense a ton of anticipation. I know we're in the middle of a baseball postseason run that will begin soon, but I hope that's one result is the fan base turns their attention at some point and is excited about the upcoming football season.
Well, that's a great point, and that's probably why Sam Pittman is speaking or appearing at several of the venues, including yesterday, and said his ankle's doing good, and he was moving around pretty good. But, here's the thing. I saw a Vegas deal yesterday that said their over-under in wins is 5.5. Well, that doesn't get you bowl eligible. And the person who they were talking about it picked the under on that. So it's a very difficult schedule. Taylor Green's really got to show up, and they've got to find receivers. I think their running game is going to be okay, but they've got to find receivers to gain Taylor's trust and to move the ball. And how do you drum up excitement? Do you play up Taylor Green and hey, we did pretty good in the transfer portal. I mean, it's an organic thing, man, and I don't know how you just immediately just drum it up.
I agree, but I think their number one calling card still in that department is Bobby Petrino. Like it or not, he's the one that I think still moves the needle for a lot of the vocal part of the fan base. And I don't know how you play that. He's not the head coach, but and I don't necessarily fall into that camp, but for a lot of people, it's still about Bobby Petrino.
Well, that's a good point. You know what? I tracked this all last year during football, but it still amazes me to say it out loud. They were 10th in the country in total offense last year. You don't do that by accident. You do that by having a magnificent offensive coordinator. I mean, we're talking about this was a first-year quarterback and a bunch of newcomers like Jaquindon Jackson, and the line was shuffled and all that, and they were 10th.
Did they have the 10th best roster, Tom? Did they have anywhere close to the 10th best offensive roster?
No, they did not.
No.
And so you're right, counting Petrino, and the exploits of what they've done, and adding pieces to the Taylor Green puzzle would be a good key to promoting the football program.
Tom, we'll leave it there, man. Good stuff as always. We'll chat a little bit on Thursday, get more in this Tennessee series ahead in Bob Walker Stadium this weekend.
Sounds like a plan. See y'all.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. Baseball season is in full swing and we're into the NBA and NHL playoffs, and BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played. With the largest selection of odds on everything from the MLB, NBA, NHL, and UFC, BetOnline remains the best online source for all your sports wagering information. In between games, head over to the BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. Bet online, the game starts here.